And we're live. Welcome back to another Corona Geek here where we talk all about mobile app development using Corona SDK. I'm your host, Charles McKeever, and today we're joined by a panel of, is that snack time? Is that snack time in the background? Is that Matty Bear snack time?
That's it running on a Fire TV.
Woohoo! Sweet! We're joined by a panel of highly intelligent, talented, gifted developers. And some of them are playing video games while we do this show. That's awesome, man. That's great. Now that's actually in the Amazon store, correct?
Yeah, you can go on Amazon.com and purchase it, and it'll show up on your Fire TV right there.
Oh, sweet. There you go. So there you go. Go check out Matty Bear. Is it Matty Bear Snack Time or is it Snack Time?
Matty Bear Snack Time.
Matty Bear Snack Time. Check that out on Fire TV. Well, we got a great show today, guys. We've got in here in the virtual studio, we've got Chris Byerly from Development, who's going to talk to us about Coronium and some of the updates that are going on there. So, hey, Chris, how you doing?
Good afternoon.
Also joining us is Steve P. Young from Mobile App Chat. He's going to talk to us about selfies and how we can improve them. Hey, Steve.
What's up, Charles?
What's going on? So before we get into that, though, we've got a couple of announcements, some things that we need to talk about. One of them is that last week we did a show with Gremlin Interactive, and we talked about Keep and PayPal plugins. So if you're looking for ways to monetize your apps or ways to reward your users, go check out that episode. It was Corona Geek number 88. It should be in the playlist over on youtube.com/CoronaGeek. Also, QuizTix.com, if you go check that out, QuizTix.com. Those guys have put out a new set of apps. That's Ian Masters, who's a Corona ambassador. He's put out movie and pop music trivia apps. So basically, they're fantastic looking. I mean, they've got a lot of great artwork, and they do all these pop trivia type questions and things like that. They've got plans to do a world football, video games, and musicals. Which I thought the world football thing was interesting, because football is not football to everybody. It's different depending on region. So I thought it was funny that they call it world football. That's kind of cool. Also, I just want to say it again. I can't say it enough. Congratulations to Theo, who's here on the panel with us, Theo Rushing Jr. So, he won he and his team won the first place grand prize at the AT&T Developer Public Safety Hackathon in Washington, D.C. I think that's a big deal, man. That's kudos for you for that.
You're also live clapping, not that fanfare.
That's right. You're also going to go participate in what's the next upcoming Angel Hack or something like that?
Angel Hack in Brooklyn, New York at the end of this month.
You are a hackathon machine, man. That is incredible. And those are all, do you do a new theme, a new thing every time?
Yeah. You really can't do the same thing because, you have people that you know from other hackathons, and they make the circuit too, and they know.
They'll know if you wore that dress before, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
So the real question is how much of the winning was your superpowers versus you used Corona, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So how much was superpowers versus Corona?
Hey,
well,
look at Ant-Man's utility belt,
Well, we're actually going to talk about all that next week. Theo's going to come on and give us the hackathon starter kit. Tell us about what we need to know and what we needed to do and on all those types of things. So we'll definitely get into that next week. But also, Eric, I think you had an announcement that you wanted to make. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. I'm still selling my previous app, Questlord, and I'm going to do the dreaded screen share for a couple seconds.
Yeah, go for it.
Hold on.
You can pull it off. That's good.
Full screen, start screen share, and off we go. So as you can see right now, can you see?
Yep. Google Play.
Questlord number 15, and Friday I hung in at number 10. And the Google Play top paid role playing.
Nice screenshot. Like that.
So sell your apps. Don't give them away for free. It's still possible. Still very, very possible. And it's also still possible to take a brand and nurture it and love it along for a while. And that's pretty much about it. I did that. I'm sorry.
Congratulations on your hanging out at 10 there.
All right. Am I still in screen share?
No.
Okay, good. One thing that was really interesting, I got Amazon free app of the day.
That's cool. How did you work that out?
I just submitted and they let me through.
Oh, okay.
And my numbers are really good. I 99,000 worldwide downloads.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
it really boosted the overall, brand a lot. And if you can get on free app of the day, I highly recommend it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen Eric's talk that he did for the meetup group in Dallas. It's actually on the Corona Geek channel, but he talks a lot about marketing, about building community around your app. That brand loyalty piece that he was talking about just a moment ago. I think Eric, you do a really good job of nurturing that and making sure that people are involved in the story, not just just consumers of the product.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that I do differently than a lot of other people do. I guess I'm more old school, I'm not too much of the shotgun approach. Make as many apps as you can, skin them as fast as possible you can, and build up a huge catalog. I'm more of the create shiny gems. So I do what people tell you not to do. But I'm able to do it, and I think I've got some interesting numbers that I'd like to share some other time.
Yeah, cool, excellent. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Let's talk about that offline. Maybe get you back on and talk about that.
Sounds good.
But yeah, if you guys haven't checked that out, go over to coronageek.com, or actually go to youtube.com/coronageek and look for that interview, or not interview, words that I can't say. You look for Eric's talk on marketing. It's a really good one, and lots of little nuggets on. And he even shares the thing that I liked about the talk, and I think a lot of other people appreciated, was that you shared some of the failures as well. You just kind of went in and said, "Here's what I was planning to do, and here's what I totally fell down on, and then here's how it worked out." And I think that's valuable as well. So
yeah, you got to have all the meaty nuggets when you
you're right.
serve the beef.
Yeah, definitely. People appreciate that. All right. Well, I think that's it. I mean, there's Jen. You had sent me a thing on Fire TV, Amazon Fire TV, which we were just talking about a moment ago. Apparently, Amazon is providing some workshops.
Yeah, nothing around where I am, but I think there's one in New York, probably something in California, and they're looking to train. It's like a 1 or 2 day workshop where you can go and learn the ins and outs of bundling your apps and porting it over to Fire TV, something like that. But you could put it in.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes. So there's a workshop in San Francisco, two in New York, one in London, and one in Washington. So if you're in any of those places, be sure to check out the link in the show notes. They're going to do a technical overview, code demos, how to extend apps to a second screen, best practices, all that kind of stuff like that. Which, Greg already knows that it's very much possible to take your app and put it onto Fire TV using Corona. So I think that would be a good supplement to anyone who's interested in that platform and trying to understand how to use it properly. All right, and then let's see what else we have here. I think that's about it. I'm going to leave the rest of this for some other time. I really want to get into Coronium and talk about some of the updates that are going on there. I know. Maybe some analytics have been added. Maybe is that what are we going to talk about, Chris?
Yeah, just so everybody else has time to present too, I'll just stick to the analytics. There's quite a few new things going on under the hood as well. The first thing is just kind of a general, kind of a visual overhaul. I'm going to jump over to screen share here real quick.
And we should have plenty of time. If you want to, whatever you want to share, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay. Am I on screen share here?
You are.
Excellent. So it's kind of a general visual overhaul on the back end here and making it a little more nicer looking. And a few suggestions that people had. Ooh, thunder. For some logging. So now that you can do some logging directly from the apps, and it's a lot cleaner to see kind of what's going on in the back end for your debugging of your code. Got rid of a lot of the kind of kludgy install stuff where you had to manually put in your API key and your login stuff. That's been all kind of integrated now into the system. You can actually get the instance up now without even having to log into the FTP at all to set up any stuff. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. While you're on that screen, I wanted to go super. I want to go super lazy and ask, could you make it to where when somebody puts in their information there, then they can just download the file?
Yeah, I mean that could be a possibility. Right now, though, the file is just completely gone now. It's all happening just behind the scenes, so you're not even dealing with that anymore, which is kind of nice. Just kind of removing the user friction on some of that stuff. And again, so now you can just boot one up, and you don't even have to log into the FTP or even hit the shell or anything. So.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yeah, so it's nice. It makes it a lot easier. There's one of the things that I spent some time on is the updating mechanism. So now, if you're on an older version, now you'll get prompted for an update, and now there's a really nice, all based on Mercurial right now, and then I'll move it to Git, but it's a really nice upgrade process, and you can roll back and stuff like that. So that was kind of important to me because the updates were starting to become kind of difficult. And one of the big requests we had was just to kind of have custom events for your analytics. So that's been worked in now. And so I'm just going to show kind of a quick example of that. Basically now how it works is you can, through the client API, which we'll look at in a second, you can now start adding different events that you can track in your app, and then get some breakdowns on some of that stuff. So for this example, this is just drinks, for instance, and then you can add some different tags for this event and start tracking those. And then to break it down even more, you can click here on any of the different little tag categories, and you can break it down by device type, and then also country too. So you can kind of just get some simple analytics on some stuff you want to track to kind of see how people are using your apps. Maybe you want to track different levels, how many times they go to a certain scene or whatever. And it's all very simple stuff. So there's just like a quick. There's only 4 methods to working with the events, and this is just a simple Corona project here. Let me pull this up. It's on the side here. And so in this case, I'm just taking an example of if you wanted to kind of track, maybe people are selecting their character type for a game or something. So they're selecting their tune. So this is already locked into the back end. It's all built into Coronium in the new module, so there's nothing really new you need to do. So I'm just going to click a few of these and get some results in here. And then we should now we should have a new event type. I didn't have to do anything special than just add this, just run this add event right here is what's being run. And then now I have the new event is now in Coronium. So now I can start charting the tune selection, how many people maybe selected the warrior type, the mage type, et cetera, et cetera. And then again, I can break these down and look at them by platform and country and stuff like that if I want to. And then there's just a couple other kind of maintenance functionality. If you want to, some people wanted to be able to remove a tracked event. So let's say if you had if you wanted to take away a count on the warrior for whatever reason, obviously this example wouldn't be good for that, but you can hit remove, and then you can give it a number. In that case, I gave it 2, so I'm at 9, so I should jump down to 7 here. And so then I can backtrack out if I wanted to have some kind of mechanism where I'm tracking in that way. You can drop a tag if you want to get rid of one of these. So in this case, I think this is going to drop the mage tag. So then once that's gone, if I don't want to use that anymore, and then and you can drop an entire event if you're not using it anymore. If I wanted to drop the entire tune event, then I can do that, and then I'm back out again. So it's neat. It's just simple stuff. It just gives you a kind of visual if you just want to do some tracking, some testing on your back end of your app, etc. So it's kind of cool. And again, you're just following the rest of the Coronium style. It's just real simple stuff. These are just one little liners, and the removing and the dropping events and stuff. Those I don't see that you would use those very often, but from more of an administrative situation, you probably use those. Most of the time, you're just going to be adding events and etc. The other thing that's been kind of built in as far as like a spec is concerned is the module. We talked a little bit ago about leaderboard module. And so I've kind of worked out a system on how we bring in these external modules now. And so I have a little, since that one went kind of quick, I'll just boot this one up super quick here. And this is just a kind of a quick example of the leaderboard, and I do have something coming for you still, Charles. So let's see here.
So is this the first initial module, or is this,
Yeah, this is the official first module. So hopefully over time we can get more people to kind of to build some. I don't know why my thing's not opening up here. One more time. And where's my project? There we go. Yeah, so this is kind of the first official module. The way this works is this is again just keeping it simple. The way that the modules are going to kind of work is they're going to piggyback off of the Coronium module. So in this case, I've brought in the client side leaderboard module, and then to initialize it, all I do is pass a reference to my Coronium. So once I've already created my Coronium instance, then to initialize any module, you just pass it an instance of Coronium, and then it's got that connection for you. And then in this case, this one's just, again, we keep it real simple. There's only 4 major methods for the leaderboard: to get the scores, to add a score, and then of course you need kind of a user system, so you can get user, and then add user, and that's kind of how you track that. So let's look at this one here. So this just simple. What you would do is you register a user, and so and then you give them a password, and of course you can make it a lot more pretty than this. And then I'm going to get an error here because I want to show something off here. So what happens is it told me I had an error, so I can go in, of course, and this is a nice, when you're doing your debugging, it's nice to have this backend here. You can see your error. It's telling me that I don't have my leaderboard module. So the way that the leaderboard stuff is working is, let me make sure I'm still in here. Okay. If you want to install modules, it's all done through the backend, so it's kind of like a repository, and people will be able to add their modules to the repository, and then they can be installed pretty simply. So to install a module, it's install, and then this one is called Coronium Leaderboard. And then once I do that, it's going to go ahead and install that. So now my leaderboard is now installed in Coronium now. So
so you're out on the server at that point installing.
Yeah, on the server. Exactly. Through the SSH, yes. And so now I should be able to now go back and it should work because I just installed the module now. So now we're installed. So that's all the work it takes to install the modules. There's going to be a user module coming soon, an email module, another more advanced push module, which I talk about all the time, but it's actually going to happen. So there's going to be stuff like that. So in this case, I just signed up as a user. I signed up as Charles. So I'm going to just hit this. This is all this is doing is just giving me some random scores. And so then in my leaderboard, I can see these were just created right now on the back end. This just gives me my a listing here. So what I'm going to do is also add a few more people. Let's go ahead and add Jen. And we will add one more person.
Let me ask you, is it possible to make it so that you can install modules from the Coronium console? From that?
Yeah, it's funny you said that. Eventually I want anything that you kind of have to do on the command line or via the FTP, I want it to all be in the back end. So that would be just the prime way to do it. You could see the listing of what's available. So yeah, I definitely have plans to try to do that. Also the updating thing too, where you still kind of have to go into the command line to initiate the update. I'd love that to be all, like WordPress, where you just hit update and it just does it. So over time, I definitely want to just try to remove as much as that user friction as possible. So yes, absolutely. I want to, you see, it should be a link, just you can click and say, let me see what the new modules are, and
right.
See some fancy stuff, click install, and you're good to go. So I just added some more people. There's Ed in there now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to relog this in real quick and show some of this. So then this is like a login. We haven't seen the login yet, so it's just a simple thing. So we're in there now, and I'm going to just add some scores here, and then so now we have all these scores. So to look at the there's some different ways you can grab this data. By default, when you just I'm going to go ahead and just use this as an example here. All I'm doing is just commenting out some code on my main scene. I'm just going to kind of do some stuff directly here in Sublime. And so by default, when you call the get scores, which is this one here, and this is just the initialization here, you're going to get the top 10 scores from highest to lowest, and that's going to give you back 4 pieces of data that you can play with. It's the name, the score, the platform that it was on, and also the country. So you can kind of break it down by different ways. So and then there's also and this is all I haven't done the official release yet, but everything, of course, is all documented on the wiki. So you can see all the different ways that you can kind of utilize the scores and get different data back. And so if you just wanted say that the top score of everybody, you can just send a count of 1, and then we can simply just hit that, and then we have the very top score, which is Jen's score. So there's a count, and again, these are all kind of shown there in the wiki how to use these. And then there's just kind of some shortcut macros, so you can do by username, and so if I wanted to do Ed there, I could just do username, and then I'll get all of his scores. And again, here's what you can see. There's a platform. There is the country, so you can break it down. There's you can do all the different types. You can do by platform if you just want to get everybody who's on iOS. You can do that, and then of course you'll just get all those. And then there's just other ones where if you just want, I want all the scores that are greater than 5,000, then you can do. That's a simple one there. Oops, except I didn't do it right. It's not scores by, it's get scores greater is what it is. Yeah. And so then we get all the scores greater than 5,000, and you can even add additional things here. So then if I want to sort it, I want to sort order. I want the greater than 1,000, but I want it sorted by ascending instead of if I want to sort it to low to high, I can do that, and then I get my different listing here. So now I'm starting from the lowest scores to the highest scores. So there's lots of different ways that you can dice up the data, and if you have it's online, there's a lot of packages that have a set of flags of countries, and they all kind of they all use this country code with the two letters. And so if you go and grab one of those folders, and I think I'll probably end up including one just on as part of the install, and then you can easily just map these directly to a us.ping or whatever, and then you can actually have a little flag that will show up and things like that. So so that's that.
Theo was asking, is that Mongo? Is that stored Mongo?
Yes, yes. This one's all Mongo. And that's the other thing too, is part of the rewrite. I basically threw out the old Mongo module that I'd written. I rewrote it from scratch, so I'm really happy with it. It's got 2 levels now. You can use it on which is where this is, where it kind of takes care of some of the other underlying stuff, so that you can keep it simple. But then I also added, kind of opened it up more, so you can get a little more deep and complicated if you know Mongo a little bit more. So I'm super happy with that, and I'm going to try to take the same approach with the MySQL adapter too, and start adding some a simplified layer, so you don't have to write, create table queries or select queries. You can just issue some simple commands for it. But I'm really excited about the module idea, and so this is kind of the first stab at that, and I'm hoping to write up a piece on this for the Corona blog, and we'll go from there. And if anybody, yes.
Yeah, this is beautiful, and I, for those that are new to using leaderboards or the Game Center or the Game Network, this so simplifies the process that you would have to go through for Google or Apple iOS or any of those systems. Plus, if you're using the Game Network, you're limited to just that network. You're limited to just Google or just Apple iOS. Whereas this, you can have Android people competing with Apple people, and you've got the full community that's using your app.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for this, especially with multiplayer games or interactive games. I think that as far as leaderboards go directly, I would totally advise doing the Google leaderboard or the Apple leaderboard, because Game Center and those put you on lists. And with those lists, you get more actual users. But as far as like multiplayer stuff, this is totally fascinating.
Yes.
I mean, I've got like a bazillion ideas in my head of being able to store variables on some remote server somewhere.
Yeah, it's nice because if you are you're not just using the leaderboard module, that's completely optional, but you have the Coronium server behind it, which is nice because you can do lots of cool stuff.
Yeah,
Eric,
that sounds really huge.
Eric, for you, I could see because you're doing what's the genre? What's the genre?
Games?
No, not games.
Yeah, I mean, no, I really wouldn't do it for Questlord because Questlord is pretty much a straight dungeon crawl, and I've got my niche and I've got my audience. But for like RTS type games or for even turn-based games, this is huge. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I was just thinking of along the lines, maybe not with Questlord brand, but something similar. Let's just say for conversation.
Oh, I would just brand it as Questlord if I made another fantasy game.
Yeah, that way you would do like depending on what somebody else did, your story would change.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing, that kind of interaction.
And you see a lot of games like Terrarium just killing it with multiplayer ability going on.
Yeah.
And as far as what Google and Apple have made, I mean, I can understand using Google and Apple's leaderboard, but that's pretty limited as far as you get because you're not really going to be able to hook players up like you could with something like this.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the module itself is just real, again, everything is written on the server in Lua, so it's nice. And this is this is the entire module it's 66 lines with extra, stuff in there. So that's it. That's the whole thing for that leaderboard thing. So and this is the part that runs on the server. So.
Well, and as Eric was saying, there's an advantage to using the Google and Apple leaderboards, but to add this in as a third universe of players with just 66 lines of code, it really there's not a lot of additional overhead on your app side for what needs to happen.
And this 66 lines of code, it's already written. You don't even have to touch this. We looked at pretty much the extent of what you have to do on the client side. So, and then we saw how to install it with that one line. So, and then again, I think just as far as just Coronium in general, the neat thing about it is that it's pretty much yours to hack. I mean, if you want to come in here and start messing around with these 66 lines of code, you're more than welcome to, or make a module, or extend it, or add some more functionality to it. So.
This is awesome, Chris. This is
thank
really
you.
great.
Well,
Oh my God, you're going to ruin me with more side projects.
Yeah, I've heard that more than one time now.
That's what I tell him every time he comes on the show.
So, and who knows? Down the line, it'd be nice to like you're saying, Charles, have a list of a repository of people just kind of throwing stuff in there.
Yeah. Well, along those lines, do you have any other plans for in-house modules that you're going to create?
Yeah, people want a user module really bad to handle registrations, the recover the password, that kind of thing. So that's a registration system. So that's the next one I'm going to work on. And then the other request has been to be able to pipe out to APIs from inside Coronium. So that's another thing I'm working on. So you'll be able to just use a simple network call out and get some data even from another third party and bring it back in through, and then pipe it back down through Coronium. So. Yeah,
exactly. Jen, did you have a question?
He answered it actually. I'm in particular need of some way to handle local notifications in terms of like a calendar scheduling module. So I'm just looking everywhere for something that'll help me manage scheduling things way out into the future and how to handle dates and times, which in any programming language is a bleeding nightmare. So I just wondered if anything like that was coming down the pike.
That's a really good idea. I'll put that in the pipeline for calendar and stuff. Yeah, I mean that's how this all happens, just people's suggestions. So anytime you have one, let me know. That's I'll definitely put it on the list.
That's super.
So that's it for my babbling for today.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Those are fantastic.
So, 20 minutes of babbling on your part is going to equal like 100 hours of side projects on our parts.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even want to tell you how many hours I put into it.
I went to an Austin mobile event, and one of the topics that they were talking about there was analytics. Being able to track things and stuff, and people liked a lot of what Parse is doing, of course, obviously because it's owned by Facebook, and yeah, and then they've come out with some announcements, at the F8 conference and whatnot, and but then some people were using Flurry, and Flurry has a lot more information rides along with the Flurry analytics and gives you sort of like you said, the device analytics, the country analytics, all that kind of stuff like that. So it's really awesome to see Coronium, adding those things in right from the beginning. Being able to split that out, because it's good to know which pieces of your app somebody clicked on or used, but then to be able to drill down and figure out what type of platform they're on and what country they're in, and those are very valuable pieces of information as well.
Yeah, and the thing is for the Coronium, Parse, of course, is fantastic, and the depth that they have on their analytics and stuff are bar none. But sometimes, sometimes keeping it simple is nice too. You might just need a quick overview on some countries, just some platform. You don't need to go the whole Microsoft Word on it. You just want some simple stuff. So.
Don't make me go Microsoft Word on you. All right, so there you go. There you have it. If you're looking for a platform,
it's free. Yep.
Yeah, that you can install on Amazon or DigitalOcean and run your own thing without having to be, tied into somebody else, then check out coronium.io. Lots of great instructions over there, how to get set up. It's super simple and looks like it's getting simpler all the time. So thanks for that, Chris. Steve, are you all set up? Are you hooked up, plugged in?
I am hooked up, plugged in. Sorry, I ran out of power.
That's
Totally
all
forgot.
right.
I was so excited.
Yeah, right. I've done that before. I'm like halfway into a trip before I look down to see what the gas gauge says. Just go, I'm ready to go. So Steve has developed a brand new app, and it's called oSnap, and I think it's a genius idea. So Steve, tell us about it.
All right, Charles. Thank you. Thank you for the compliments. It's not only because we're friends, hopefully not, but let me go into my screen share real quick and show you the app.
I've got it installed. I downloaded it the day that it launched, and it's actually replaced my primary camera, the built-in camera app.
Thank you, my friend. So let me just talk to you about some of the struggles I had with the default camera app. All right, before I go into what oSnap is all about, I'll tell you about some of the problems I saw with the default camera app. So I'm launching it, and I know there's a little bit of lag. Can you see this a little bit?
I can see your screen.
Yeah, I can see that it's there, but it's not hooked up. Let me see. Oh, there you go. Okay. So one of the problems I had was to try and take a picture of my newborn daughter, and I couldn't. I know, it's weird. I had the phone angled in a way where I couldn't find the stinking button to take a picture, right? And so I said, why can't I just tap anywhere? And I know there's a volume button. I couldn't reach it either. I have small hands, okay? And so I couldn't find it. And I said, why can't I just tap anywhere to take a picture? And the other thing that I really struggle with is, if you're a big fan of selfies, like I am, what do you want to do? The button to flip the camera is very far from the actual button. So for people like me with a little bit, not too, I'm 5'7", so I don't have big hands, but it becomes very difficult. Like why aren't these buttons closer together? And lastly, I want to know if the last picture I took was actually decent enough for me to share, because that's what we all like to do, is take pictures so that we can share and get more likes. And so I can't tell with this little area. This is just me and my daughter. Oops.
Yeah, and we are looking at for everybody who's listening online there, we are looking at the default camera app.
Right.
With the button down at the bottom and the flip the camera around at the top right hand corner. And, the last thing you want to do is drop the camera or drop the phone.
Exactly. That's a great point. So combining all this, I thought, hey, let me build this app that I actually want to use myself. And so introducing oSnap. There's a little icon. So what I've done, and I'm going to wait for it to catch up a little bit. So I'm using Reflector. There you go. So what I've done is you can tap anywhere on the screen to take a picture. And here's just my little office. Boom. I've taken it, and there it goes. And you can see the top 3 at the very top. And essentially what you can do is just navigate through the whole functions. All I did was I shook the phone. Now you see me. And you can shake back. Do that. And then you could do a few swipes to adjust the flash. So what I really wanted to do was create an app that allowed you to take pictures with just literally one finger, one hand. And so I'm a parent. I love to take pictures of my kids, and usually as a parent, you have something in your hand. And so what I just did here for those who are just listening to the show was I swiped down from the top 3, and you can see your gallery. I'm gonna go quick, so I don't want you guys seeing all my pictures. I don't know if there's anything embarrassing in here, but you can snap this, you can tap on any picture and then share it easily to any social network that you want. And then you swipe down to go back to your gallery. You tap the bottom bar to go back to camera mode. So that's essentially it. It's sort of my minimum viable product in a way that I wanted to see if other people had problems with the way they were using camera apps. And you know, there's more features coming up, but that's oSnap.
I love the
Very cool.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Was this Enterprise or Pro?
I only have one version.
No, I mean your Corona license.
Corona?
No, it's not Corona.
I didn't think so. See, we're having an issue with Corona right now where our camera set fill is missing a lot of features. It's missing a lot of the usability.
Yeah, which ones would you want to see?
Well, front facing.
Front-facing.
Working on Android would be cool.
Okay.
I mean, there's access to the flash on or off would be great.
Yeah.
So it's a great app. I love it.
Yeah. No,
I have those features.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to have Steve on and ask him about this. I knew it wasn't in Corona, but I wanted to talk to him kind of about the app, you know, to share it with everybody, and then also to kind of talk about this concept of why did you pick a camera app when there's so many other camera apps out there in that category? And I think you answered the question early on. Yeah. Because of the usability and things like that. But I think it's an interesting. But I'll let you go ahead and answer, Steve, if you have any thoughts there.
Well, I think a lot of times it's sort of my play. A lot of my Corona apps are more kids apps, and they're more educational based. And so I wanted to try a bigger market, right? Like I think we're all too afraid, and the excuses that we tend to make are it's too crowded, it's too blah blah blah. But at the same time, there's a big, humongous ocean, and all you need is sort of a small little piece of the ocean to really be successful. And so I'm making both plays. I have niche apps that are more focused on kids, and those are all my Corona apps. And then I've got this app that is my play towards the bigger market. And it was something that I really wanted to use myself. And so that's sort of my answer to the question, Charles.
Yeah, no, so the thing that you said a moment ago was the minimal viable product, right? Getting it out there, testing out the idea before you spent too much time trying to, put in all these extra bells and whistles to see if it even works. So I think that's an important concept for people to latch on to. And the other thing that I think that is really important, it's probably obvious, but I don't want it to get missed, is that I think there's a need in the market. I have no idea why Apple separated, the photo album and the camera, and I mean you take a picture from the photo camera app, and then you can't even share it from there. You have to go over to the photo album, and then you have to share it from there. It's like when they did that, they broke it. They actually broke the camera app, and I never understood that. So I think that what you've done is you've brought it to where someone can easily take the picture without having to use the predefined regions, and also being able to share right after taking the picture, because that's exactly what you want to do, right? So those are important pieces that I think that you identified, or at least those are the important pieces I see in the app that fill the need in the market. And I'm hoping that it takes off like gangbusters because it's filling that need in the market. It's seeing that somebody, even like Apple, can have shortcomings that you can fill a market demand for. Now, that said, I don't know how long that'll last, right? That's always a challenge as well, because if Apple comes out with a new updated camera app, that could mess up your Playhouse.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's something I think about also, but I think I think we always make excuses, right? Back to the minimum viable product, it's not perfect. I don't think it's perfect. There's a lot of things that I wanted in the app before I shipped it, but at the same time, I wanted to ship because I needed to ship. And I do struggle with this. Like, this is I don't want this to be, this is sort of like a feature. If Apple just developed all these little feature sets into their app, like I could be gone in a second. But then that's just an excuse of not to do something, right? And so even if they do that, and if they do credit me, I'll be like, yes, that's what I did, right? And there's enough excuses for not to do something. And so I said, hey, I want to take a stab at this. I want to go big into a big market and try to see if I can compete with some of the big guys. And if I die a year from now, then that's fine. But at least I tried. I swung the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that you have other apps that are already out there in the market, I would imagine that this is, if nothing else, it could be lead generation for that as well.
Yeah.
For all those other apps. Well, very cool. So where can, obviously besides the App Store, where can people go to check out oSnap?
So you can go to osnapapp.com. There is another oSnap app. Look for the little finger camera thing icon, and I think the screenshot says the perfect app for selfies. But yeah, I mean, you can check it out in the iTunes Store and let me know. I mean, what I really want is feedback, and so I would love for you to check out the app. And if you can't afford it, let me know. But it is $1, and that's all I want is feedback. Like, do you have this problem? If so, like, tell me what are some of the other features that you'd like. And some of the things I've heard are like, oh, I want filters, or can I delete? And there's some features I'm gonna add, and they're coming along the way. But that's what I really want is just feedback from people who have the same problem that I do.
I can give you a little bit of feedback.
Hit me, Eric.
I wanted to download this, and I saw it last night because like I said in the chat, I'm working on the camera app as well with Corona, and I went to download it, but it won't let me download it. And what I do is I have a really old phone. I have like a 3GS.
That's probably why.
And I run 6.1. And the reason I do that is I want to get like the largest swath of people. So I'm always like staying way behind, right? Can you do a build for less than 7.0 iOS? Or is...
I'm not much of a developer, but I want to, and sort of the philosophy with this app is how do I stay ahead of the game? And so if you are on an iPhone, under iPhone 5, this is probably not the app. It's not best suited for that need, for that screen size. It's best suited for what I think is going to happen with iPhone 6 and what's already happening with iPhone 5. And so I want to get ahead of everything rather than go back. I'm kind of opposite of you, Eric.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I can't wait for the new version to come out. I just want bigger real estate. If they don't go to a bigger screen, bad things will happen. Bad things will happen. All right, cool. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. So let's take a look at Composer. So who here has had a chance to play with Composer yet? Jen, you have? Theo?
I haven't, but I'm really excited about it.
Yeah? Theo likes it? Yeah?
Which Composer are we talking about?
Oh, that's a good point. So we've got Composer API.
Yeah, that was confusing.
And then we've got Composer GUI.
Yeah.
The editor, yeah.
Yes. Then I can raise my hand.
You can raise your hand. All right, you played with a visual editor. All right. Which they go hand in hand because the visual editor does produce code for, for the API. So let me just pull over some of this stuff here. I've got basically what I've done is I've gone out and then there is a tutorial out there for this, so I'm not making anything up.
Yeah, I'd like to have a whole show on this if we could sometime.
Yeah, this is all in public beta, right?
The Composer, the Composer GUI, it's kind of in beta. It's got the there's some
got daily
new
builds.
There's some new features that are coming out. Yeah, exactly. It's not public so much yet, but there's new features that are coming out like zooming and multi-select and things like that. Those are coming as well. So the current version that we're going to look at today doesn't do those things, but it's coming very soon. So let me just work out my screen share here. Hold on just a second. There needs to be a big button, just a big old button that says screen share.
It would be cool if we could get one of the engineers in Corona who's working on this, and I don't know many or one, but it would be real cool to have that guy on.
Yeah.
Give us the DL.
See if we can work that out.
And then we can give him instantaneous feedback.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Because last time I looked, it was all squished together, and I couldn't really. do much. But I was like super early alpha.
Yeah, that was my problem. Last time I messed with it was super early alpha, and I haven't gotten back to it.
Exactly.
Oh yes, yeah. If you haven't messed with it since then, it's definitely changed. Definitely changed. So, I'm pushing the screen share button, but nothing is happening.
We still see you.
I mean, I know, like absolutely nothing is happening.
Well, this product.
Hold on a second.
So we're going to save the new composer for another show.
We may have to.
What
the
was
only
that
thing
about
I can.
music apps again?
What's that?
Weren't you going to do something about music apps at one point?
Yeah, well, I guess we could do that. I am definitely having problems with the screen share, so I don't think that's going to work out the way we want it to. I will put a link in the show notes to the tutorial, though, because it walks you through everything that I was going to show you here today. And I was going to point out a few other little ditties, but we can do that on a different time. So, so let's talk about, let's shift gears, and let's talk about music apps. And I've already shared this, Ed. This is for you. I've already shared this with Ed before. There are several apps out there that allow you to be able to create your own music, and there are apps that are geared for people who are not musicians. Okay, so I do not consider myself a musician, but I am able to create music with these apps. So the first one is called Figure, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but
and these are Corona apps.
I can't even see my own screen. No, these are iOS. I'm not sure if they're Android equipolents. It's
Girl,
by
let me
Propeller.
share mine. Give me 2 seconds.
You gonna share
Talk
yours?
about Figure.
I can actually do the air share if we can do that. No, I can't do air share because I can't share my screen. It's called, the first one's called Figure, though, and it looks like this. And let me back up a little bit because I can see that it's kind of big. But you've got, essentially you have different instruments, and you have a kick. You have a drum category, you have a kick, a snare, hats, and something else here. I can't remember what that was. Oh, well, it changes based on, there's different styles too. So, like, let's say you're in drums, which I think Ed's going to bring that up here in a minute. You've got different styles of drums that you can choose from. So each time you change that, so like if I put it on Technologic, I get, or Urban, I get bongos. If I do it for TR Bob, I get cowbells. Okay, so you can kind of change which musical instruments you're working with. The other one is on bass, and everything is, I don't know if you guys can see this. Yeah, there we go. Ed's got it going on. Do that screen share. Thank you, Ed. So as you can see on the drums, everything is broken out, and all you have to do is just tap on the screen. And you can tap on the screen in the rhythm, or you can hold down on certain areas of the screen, and it'll just continue to play. So,
God, is that you?
that's not me. What is that? That's not
me.
Sorry,
That's
guys.
not the,
Sorry.
that's okay. That's not the
Somebody's
music
playing
app
a
either.
Figure in the background.
No, I don't think so. That wasn't the music app either. So up in the upper left-hand corner, so Ed just hit it, you've got a record button and a play button. So you can record what you're doing as you go along, and you have different, scales. So you have like 4 beats or 8 beats, or I guess they're beats. Again, I told you I wasn't a musician, but you can go in and you can record, and then you can play it back. And then as you play back, then you can kind of experiment with the sounds. So while you're playing it, you're not recording, so you can play around with the sounds. And if you're like, oh, that sounds really good, I want to add that on, all you have to do is go back and hit the record button, and then you can start recording that back in. So you can change things like the tempo, you can change things like the key, you can have things do like a shuffle. So if you kind of want an off-beat sort of, every other beat sort of thing, you can do that. But you have the drums, the bass, and the lead, and each one of those you can play with. And then once you've got kind of those set, you can go into patterns. So if you go down to, Ed, if you go down to patterns down in the left-hand corner, you can play with the patterns. So you can kind of set out a rhythm, and then you can kind of mess with that. So if you can speed it up or slow it down, you can change the range of that. So like here in the lead, you can kind of make it go either high or low. You can scale your steps so that you can kind of mess with that as well. I don't exactly know how that works, but it can create some really interesting effects. And what you really wind up doing is just playing with it. And then when you get ready to you can actually do you can go in and you can export. So you can export to either iTunes, or you can export to another app if it supports audio sharing. You can do that. You can share on Facebook and Twitter, of course, and then you can do things like export to SoundCloud and things like that. So it's actually a very interesting app for creating your own custom tracks. So if you wanted to create a loop for a game or something like that, I don't honestly know how the licensing works out on something like that. I would love to get these guys on and maybe talk about that, but I do know that it makes some really interesting sounds that I mean, if you even wanted like a bubble pop or an explosion or something like that, you could create those single clips here and then be able to potentially use those. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes, along with maybe some SoundCloud clips that you can preview just as for fun. The other app that I want to show you or share with you, I'm not know if I'm going to be able to show you, Ed. I don't think you have this one. Music. Did you ever install Music? MUSYC. Okay, there's another one out there called MUSYC, so Music, and it's actually put out by Finger Lab, and it looks kind of like this. Once it's kind of hard to see. It's very, very hard to see. Anyway, if you go look that up, screen share doesn't work. It makes it hard. The premise of this one is that you've got shapes. So let me bring this up here, like this.
Hey, Charles?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to stop you there, but I tried to screen share a moment ago, and the screen share window is behind one of the other windows. You sure that's not happening to you?
Oh, it could possibly be.
Yeah, the selection window, the one that pops up that lets you select what you want to share, was behind everything else. It was hiding.
Oh, there it is. You're absolutely right. Well, at least that time it came up. So let me.
Oh, no, I was right all the time.
Yeah, well,
Mr. Technical Solutions over here.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me see if I can screen share.
Roger that.
It might be way too much. So anyway, this music app is basically based on shapes. So you have triangles, you have squares, you have circles, and they all have different tones. And you can set up things. It's almost like a physics engine for music, if you will, or if you won't. It's let's see here. Okay, so we're gonna do screen share. Let's do the screen share now. Come on, you can do it. There it is. All right. All right. Tell me if you can see that.
Yep.
Okay.
Gotta drop your. Yep.
Yeah, frame rates are going to be really crummy and all that kind of stuff like that. But here's an example, and let me see what they got here. So if you see, I've got.
What's the spelling of the name of this item?
MUSYC, I think. So let's just go here. Let's go to let's stop this.
I got it. I'll drop the link.
All right, good. So here, let's go do a whole new song. No thanks. So now you've got your bass line there, like your ground. Just like the physics engine, you can come in here and you can start making music. Now you guys unfortunately can't.
I love
you hear that?
No, but I just love the premise of dropping things in the scene to make music.
So this is almost like a xylophone. It does, it's got the bong, 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 and then you can come in here and you can say, okay, now I want. And so you get it's not coming across exactly the same because you can't hear it, but you get this whole interactive music going on. So you can create almost a very Asian style of music in some spaces, but it has different things. So you can have soft mallets. So you can do, if you want to do modern jazz, you can kind of change that as well and get a more of a jazz feel. And then you have all these different shapes. So you can come in here, and the different shapes have, like I said, they have different tones to them. And then you have things like these, like generators. So you can, if you wanted to, you can have these things generate different shapes for you. And then you can have these little portals that kind of suck them up. So, and of course, it has a whole bunch of in-app purchases for other things that do other, other objects that do other things. But there you go. If you want to do something like that, so it's really interesting. I don't know that this one is as useful for creating music. That you're going to use in like a game loop or something like that. But it's a very fun app to play with and create some interesting effects. The other one is, yeah.
Did you say that these were created using Corona or not?
No. These are just iOS apps that I have come across as I was trying to find ways of being able to create loops and game music and stuff like that without having to be, a musician.
Right. Okay.
I think, again, I don't know what the licensing is. You'd have to do a little bit of your own research. But when it comes to like things like music and things like Figure, these are more sounds, just basic sounds, and you're compiling them all together and creating a unique, a unique piece of music. Something like the other thing that I was going to show you was here is more like Launchpad, which has like prefab sounds that you can come in here and you can put together and create different, like almost like techno music and stuff like that. That might be a little more of a licensing issue because they're already prefab sounds. But this one is amazing as well because you can kind of go in and create your own. What is that? Almost like a DJ. You're almost like a DJ going in here creating. Yeah.
Generally, these apps, and especially the creation tools, are usually royalty free.
Yeah, always read your licensing.
That one's Launchpad, and it's pretty cool.
Launchpad. All right.
Yeah, that's an iOS app as well. And then the last one I'll show you that kind of leave you with is Loopy. And if you're going to get Loopy HD because it runs on the iPad.
Yeah, Loopy.
The iPhone. And I really like Loopy because what you're doing here. Oh, it's picking up my voice. That's funny. It's picking up my voice through the. Anyway, you can record your voice or sounds or whatever you want to do as you're going along, and Loopy will record it and then create a loop of it. So I don't think you guys can hear that, but I can hear it, and it's playing my voice right now. So what I can do is I can start another loop, and I can do a whole nother loop and put it on top of each other, or you can record on top of a loop that's already been recorded. So let me just stop that. The idea being that you can create some pretty amazing loops just from sounds that are like dishwashers or silverware or anything that has sort of a unique sound to it. You can put it into Loopy and then create a song from it. So it's some amazing stuff. And like I said, again, these are all based off the idea that you're not a musician. I am not a musician, and I'm still able to create something that sounds fairly attractive. So those are good. If you have something like that and you want to share that, do let me know. I will put links to all that in the show notes, and there are some videos for Loopy that I will put in the show notes as well. There's some people who've created some really fascinating stuff out of that. So there you go. So next time, hopefully, we'll do Composer or something like that. I know Theo's got a lot of great things he's going to share with us about hackathons and stuff like that. So I really appreciate Chris, you being here and sharing Coronium with us. You guys definitely be sure to go out and check out coronium.io. Also, Steve, thanks for sharing oSnap with us. And yeah, if nothing else, the takeaway for today is no excuses. Definitely just get out there and do it. Because
hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Steve, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
He can hear you.
Okay. Stay like that. Smile. Okay, here we go. Smile. Take a little selfie here.
Taking a,
Are you
taking a selfie with Steve?
Thank you.
A hangout selfie. I love it. That's funny.
Hey, Charles, if I could say one last thing.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
So, obviously I do a podcast too called Mobile App Chat, but I would love if your listeners are in the audience and are in San Francisco for WWDC, email me, steve@mobileappchat.com. I would love to. I'm putting a dinner together with a bunch of app developers, and so yeah, let me know. It's going to be during that week, but if you're around and in town, let me know, and love to meet you in person too. And I've got a couple people that are already involved and want to go, and so yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely do that. And if you haven't checked out Steve's podcast, mobileappchat.com, go check it out. It's great. Does lots of interviews with lots of app developers. Got good inspiration, lots of insights. Go check it out. Okay, and there's an echo. Awesome. All right, guys, thanks for being here. We'll see you next week.
That's what you get when you introduce sound programs. We're all playing with them now.
I know it. That's cool. That's awesome. That's great. Hey, and now I've left you with something. Chris left us with something. Now I've left you with something. All right, guys, have a great week and happy coding.
Take care.
Hey, Theo.